students, welcome back to our topic on the operating systems. So previously we had looked at the operating systems and what it is and the functions of the operating system. So types of operating systems, they are classified according to number of tasks. Types of operating systems. So types of operating systems, they are classified according to number of tasks. They can also be classified according to number of users. And last but not least, the user interface. And I start with the number of tasks. That's the first one, number of tasks. So when you talk of number of tasks, this is the number of tasks it can manage. Task means there is a process that is being done somewhere. So we classify according to number of tasks. And the first one, under the number of tasks, the first category, we have the single program operating system. Single program OS. We have the single program OS. As one tells you, single, that means it can only carry one task at a time. Single will only carry one task at a time. We have the multitasking operating system. Multitasking, as the term tells you, multi means many, and therefore, in the operating system, when you talk of multi, they can handle more than one task at a time, and that is about the number of tasks category. I move to number of users, very close to tasks. When you talk of a user or the life we have is the person who is using the computer. For example, the computer students, when you're operating a computer, you are the user. In this category, in the user, we have the first one, single user operating system. Single user, and the term is descriptive, you can understand. Single user, that means only one person can use at a time. We have the multi-user. Multi-user OS. And you find that this one is for many users. It can be used by more than one user at a time. We can have an example of multi-user, like the Windows operating system is one example, and we have used it severally. And you have seen it can be used by more than one user at a time. So having covered that, now I move to the user interface. And like the user interface, there is a term that the examiners like using, the HCI. In other terms, it can be called the HCI. HCI stands for Human Computer Interface. And it is the same as the user interface. So this one is how you interact with the operating system during the process of operating the computer. How are you interacting with the computer? That's why it is called the human computer interface. How the human or the liveware is communicating with the operating system. And a good example, we have the command line based operating system. Command line OS. You find that this one, as the term is telling you, you have to use commands. You have to type like coding. You have to do some coding when you are using the command line OS, whereby you should have a lot of knowledge in computers. This one, you find a user who might have challenges while operating, and especially if the user does not have that much knowledge about using the commands, because these commands are typed in computer language. You remember we say that computers don't understand the human language, they only understand the computer language, and therefore you have to use the computer language. We have another one, the menu driven interface. Menu driven. So this one, as you see, it becomes easier than the command line because the user is using a menu. You know what's a menu? Even when you get to a hotel or a restaurant, you are given a menu with a list of maybe foods that you can ask from there. Now, this OS will also give you a menu. There will come a menu where you select from, and therefore it becomes a bit easier than the command line because you don't have to type the coding. And last but not least, the one that we mainly use is the graphical user interface. Graphical. So under the user interface, you have the graphical user interface. In other words, in short form, we call it the GUI. The GUI, or the graphical user interface. And you find that this one has got 4 things and making it very easy. We write it, or we abbreviate them as WIN. WIN. So it has got these 4 things, sorry, as I'm going to explain. And the first one, we talk of window. W stands for window. In computer, when you talk of a window, we mean the box area where you are operating your computer. Anytime you open an application, you say you have opened a window because it is fitting in the screen, and that is what we are calling a window. So it has that part. It has icons. You know what's an icon? A picture on a desktop. That is the one that we call what? An icon. So it will give you pictures, as you see in Windows. When you open a computer, even when we are opening computers, you find that there are small pictures on the screen. They are called the icons. It has something else, menu. They have a menu. M stands for menu. And remember we say, so it is incorporating even the menu driven because it has a menu, like the menu driven. Therefore, it is easier to use the graphical user interface. Last but not least, the P stands for pointer. Pointer. When you are operating a computer, you realize that the pointer will help you to select, and especially when you are selecting the icons, it will give you an icon that will help you. It will give you a pointer to help you to select. Next time, we will see the factors to consider when you are choosing an operating system, so for you to know which is the best to use. Thank you.